Okay, so I just started to record. Let's put this.
Is that she does. That's her screen. That's her screen. Okay.
Yeah. So I have my screen up. I'm just gonna do an introduction. All right, so we'll start.
Sure.
Well, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This presentation is being brought to you by the Long Island region of the New York State TESOL Association. I am the co-chair, Lizette Roman. I am also a bilingual educator at Brentwood School District and the founder of Educating with Love. I provide resources and try to inform parents and teachers and students about all our resources, as well as a bilingual educator. This is part 3 of a 3-part series that we've been doing about all the gems that you can find here on Long Island. And we're going to learn of 2 gems today. But before we get into who our guests are today, I really can't emphasize enough this great opportunity of becoming a member for a very inexpensive price. I think it's $20.20, if I'm not mistaken, for the entire year. And once you become a member, you get all these great benefits of joining webinars and getting professional development and earning CTLE hours. And so this is an association that really got me feeling good about being an educator again. I don't feel alone anymore. I am just feel like I'm on top of my A game. I'm updated with all the latest research. So I can't emphasize this enough how important it is to be a part of this association. And we're so excited because we have the 51st annual conference coming up, and you have the option of joining virtually, or you can join in person. So it's taking place November 4th, 5th, and 6th. And I will be presenting. I'm so excited. And my presentation is learning how to listen like a diplomat. The skill of listening is key in all of our lives for all the relationships that we have in our lives. And so I will be presenting on the 5th. I hope to see you there. And so the website is NYSTSOL, SOL, sorry, .org. And if you click on membership, you'll find opportunity to become a member. If you click on annual conference, you can join the conference. And if you sign up for the conference before tomorrow, there's a chance that you might get reimbursed. So they're doing a raffle, so you might be the lucky winner. So our goal for today, it's our goal to create an opportunity to learn more about Long Island's hidden gems that will support our curriculum, enhance our students' academic and linguistic development. And we want to shine light on any local organizations or museums that are ready to virtually present to our students in a fun, motivating, and culturally responsive way. I want to add a little bit to our goal, just of us knowing of any resources that are going to enrich our students' lives. And so with that said, I had, okay, I'm gonna keep adding to our goal before I move on to presenting our guest. So let's define a little bit what we mean by supporting our curriculum. We want people to support our curriculum and provide evidence that whatever program that we're presenting with, it incorporates the next generation learning standards or bilingual common core progressions, and or being a culturally responsive, supporting a culturally responsive teaching. So to help culturally and linguistically diverse students who have been marginalized in schools build their skill and capacity to do rigorous work. So when we say culturally responsive, we're not talking about color. We're talking about anything to support our students culturally, right? And so whatever their lifestyle might be, whatever their culture might be, they build on those skills, okay? So with all of that said, I think I'm so excited to have the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities here. I had the pleasure of meeting Arlene by chance at the local library. And I was gathering some information, and Arlene was trying to promote some wonderful programs for anybody with a developmental disability. And I overheard her, and I thought it'd be great for us to link up, because yes, we are educators of bilingual students, but we go beyond just language. We have to really think about, guess what? We have so many students who probably were identified as an English language learner, but because they're already getting services, it could be that they're not being identified with an IEP, and this happens a lot. And so I feel as bilingual educators, we need to be informed, and as bilingual parents, we need to be informed on what other resources we have available to us to support our students that might have a learning disability. And so there are so many resources. I don't think I've ever shared this, but my son is under the spectrum. He's autistic, and I struggle. Although I try to be as informed as I can, I struggle all the time trying to find out and learn about what the resources are available for my family and for my son to better support him and build on his skills. And so I am just so ecstatic to have the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities here with us. And you see they have a whole table rounded up for us. So I am going to just pass over the presentation to them. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Arlene, if you want to go ahead, and do you know how to go ahead and share your screen?
Well, what's going to happen, I want to introduce everybody, but then Raquel is going to be the one who's actually going to be starting it, and Danielle's going to be finishing it, and then I will be here to answer any questions along with Nancy if needed.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, so hi, I'm Arlene Shine. I am the program supervisor for the Family Support Services for UCP, United Cerebral Palsy of Suffolk. Okay, this is Raquel Castillo Perla, and she's the coordinator of transitioning students. Next to her is Daniel Buford, I always say it wrong, service coordinator of transitioning students. And then we have Nancy Tui, who is the home services benefits coordinator. And Raquel, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let me just try to share their screen. Lizette, do you give or have you given me permission to
Probably not. Let me see. Multiple participants can share. Okay, let's see. Can you try again?
Can you guys see that?
See, yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's see if we can do this. You guys just saw the whole presentation without having to say any word. Okay, great. So, hi everyone. My name is Raquel. I work with the UCP of Long Island. I am the student coordination of students, Partners for Transition and Program. And today we're going to be presenting you, just giving you a brief overview of developmental disability presentation, just a guide to understanding access to resources for developmental disabilities benefits and eligibility process. So developmental disabilities, benefits and eligibility. So today we're going to briefly go over what developmental disabilities are, what's OPWDD and how you can have access to it, eligibility process, benefits, and what programs that are out there for kids who have a developmental disability. We're going to leave questions for the end if anyone has any questions or any comments. Okay, so what are developmental disabilities? Let's see. Sorry, the computer's all the way back, so to make sure that we have people. Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah, there you go, like that. All right. All right, so what are developmental disabilities? So developmental disabilities are a group of conditions due to an impairment in physical, learning, language, or behavior areas. These conditions begin during the developmental period, may impact day-to-day functioning, and usually last throughout a person's lifetime. Most developmental disabilities begin before a baby is born, but some can happen after birth because of injury, infection, or other factors. Having a disability does not mean a person is not healthy or that he or she cannot be healthy. Most developmental disabilities are thought to be caused by a complex mix of factors. So I'm going to give you some of the most known causes of intellectual disability include fetal alcohol syndrome, genetic and chromosomal conditions during pregnancy. Others include genetics, parental health and behaviors during pregnancy, complications during birth, infections the mother might have during pregnancy or the baby might have very early in life, and exposure of the mother or child to high levels of environmental toxins such as lead. So let's see, did I skip? The school, is that going before? Yeah, all right. So, so now that, let's say you find out that your child has a developmental disability. The child has an IEP, but it can be, it doesn't mean that a child is eligible automatically for OPWDD services. And I explained in the next slide what OPWDD is. So qualifying for an IEP does not mean automatic eligibility for OPWDD. So right now, here we have listed 6 classification developmental disabilities that OPWDD looks for in order for them to, for an individual to be eligible for their services. So the first one is having an intellectual disability, that is having an IQ below 70, but also having an IQ above 70 could get them eligibility. It's on a case-by-case basis, and it all depends on how, you'll find out once you go through the whole process. Autism spectrum disorder is another one. Epilepsy, cerebral palsy, neurological impairment, and certain types of learning disabilities. So what is OPWDD? Let's see. So OPWDD stands for the Office for for People with Developmental Disabilities. It is a New York State office that provides funding for services for individuals with developmental disabilities. So now, if let's say my child is in special ed, or you have a student in special ed, has an IEP, does that mean that the child or the student is eligible for OPWDD? Not necessarily, because the school has their own criteria, and OPWDD as well have their own criteria to find out if a child is eligible for services. Okay, so you want to go on to this one now? So in order for you to find out if a child is eligible for OPWDD services, there are steps to take. There's a process. And so a service coordinator, a case manager will help you through that process. And in our case, my coworker, Danielle, is a service coordinator. So she'll tell you and help you figure out what steps to take to find out eligibility for OPWDD. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it on to Danielle, and she'll go further into details about process and programs.
Hi, can you all hear me?
She's muted.
Okay, okay, okay. So if your child is eligible for OPWDD services, you might ask yourself what services are available to your child. So what supports are available? Maybe case management, family support services, HCBS waiver services. I'm sorry.
Oh, you want me to?
Oh, no. So these are some of the supports the Family Support Service Grant offers after eligibility.
And it's one of the first services that they would be eligible for as a child, right?
As a child, yes. So after your child is eligible, the Family Support Service Grant, these are some services that they would automatically be eligible for. For example, after school respite programs, school vacation respite, crisis intervention, family counseling, training and advocacy, and home respite, overnight freestanding respite, weekend and recreation respite, sibling support, town recreation, voucher reimbursement, which is something that Arlene Shine would provide, and non-Medicaid service coordination. What home community-based services? HCBS waiver. HCBS waiver is typically for older children, but sometimes some children that are younger can be eligible for it. It's more of an intense service, and you must go through another eligibility determination process.
Can I pause for a moment? I know we're really not supposed to make too many interruptions, but I just have to say a couple of things in regards to all of the respite that you offer and why you caught my attention. Two things I want to mention. One thing I want to mention is a lot of our bilingual families who I'm advocating for here. I want to mention first, when we talk about who is a child with developmental disabilities, I want to mention the fact that if the child has a developmental disability, does not mean that they cannot learn 2 languages. That's a common misconception. So I really want to point that out now before I even forget. And so the other thing I want to say is, as a mother in a bilingual home and with a child who is under the spectrum, and now spent the whole summer with my baby with no help. This is like a dream come true to hear about your services. It like almost makes me emotional because I now feel like there is actually help. So going back to advocating for other families, I know that because I know there are families I've worked with who desperately need this help. And I can't emphasize enough how we need to spread the word about your services. Because even hearing about there is a summer camp or a horseback riding program or a program that I can have somebody relieve me as a mother to be with my children is huge. So many mommies that work 2 jobs and have a child with disability can get some relief. And so this is huge because maybe you'll get into it, but the first thing I feel like it also leads into making mommies less stress, less chances of violence in the home and all those kinds of things, because I can tell you I have a lot of tools under my belt. And but I can see why parents get frustrated and don't know how to handle their children with a disability. So I just had to say that before you moved on, in regards to these resources. I don't know if you want to add to that or you want to just.
No, I think that, you're one of the many that they don't know what's out there. There's a tremendous amount of services that are available to, parents that have children with disabilities.
Right.
And go ahead, you can go. And like you mentioned, a lot of the bilingual parents are not aware of these services. There's a ton of services, ton of programs out there that they may be eligible, for, and they're not aware that they are, they're out there.
And you do, and the process, you do have bilingual people, I'm sure, available to guide them through this process.
You're looking at her.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's important for us to point that out here. Yeah, great. Okay,
Lisa, if anybody is Spanish speaking, if anybody is Spanish speaking and wants to take part and take advantage of the programs, especially the ones that I offer through the Family Support Services, they would reach out and I would get Raquel to help me as far as the application and answer any questions that they may have.
Sure, sure. And I'm
Okay.
sure we'll be working together with my huge district. And if you ever need me, I'm happy to as well.
Perfect. I will remember that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And what type of supports that are available after the child or adult is eligible for HCBS waiver? So after you get the HCBS waiver, what are some other services that may be available? Community rehabilitation, day rehabilitation, supportive employment, pre-vocational services, family and educational training, respite still, self-direction, residential group homes, intensive behavioral services, are just some of the few that are available to you after you obtain the HCBS waiver. And the next slide is just a little more in detail exactly which those things that I listed were like, and also environmental modification, changes to your home. Some people might need a ramp on their home. Some people are lifting their children to get into their home and not know that they can actually, get help to be able to get a ramp built on their home,
And Danielle, wouldn't that be an example of when someone would qualify for
Yes,
HCBS
They would
younger?
qualify younger.
So if you needed a ramp, you would need to qualify for HCBS waiver
Younger.
and at a younger age. So you wouldn't be limited to just those programs. You would be able to take advantage of that to a bathroom modification, to widen the bathroom or a special tub or things like that.
Sorry, keep moving the.
So the eligibility, I can't even talk, I'm so sorry. The eligibility criteria. The first step is the front door. And I listed the phone number, the 434-6000. They review the documentation. The qualifying diagnosis, just to kind of go over them again after Raquel explained them more: intellectual disability, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, autism, other neurological impairment. It must originate prior to the age of 22. So this is something that's extremely important. The individual can not all of a sudden go in, for example, get into a car accident, and now they have a neurological impairment at 25. That didn't originate prior to the age of 22. I typically tell parents, the sooner, the better. You get services for your child, because when you wait till they're 21, now you're going back until birth to prove that this child had this at birth, and I'm a parent. So when I talk to parents, I'm talking to you as a parent. Not as just someone that's worked in this field for 17 years. I'm talking to you as a parent. And we really want to have these things in place for our children, because we have to think about, we won't always be here. We won't always be here, right? So we want to make sure that we have everything in place for our child. And it has to continue and can be expected to continue indefinitely. Constitute a substantial limitation to a person's adaptive abilities. Interferes kind of, with their day-to-day living, when I say adapt.
I think it's also important to note that the qualifying diagnoses is not all that's listed there, right? It could be that it's not listed there, but if there is a diagnosis, it's just best to check with OPWDD, because that diagnosis might be the one to make the individual eligible for services. Am I correct?
Well, sometimes there could be more than one
Exactly.
diagnosis, and together, like you gave a wonderful example of someone with ADHD would not qualify for our program. But if they have ADHD with another coexisting disability and it affects their day-to-day lives, it might make them eligible depending, and OPWDD would be the ones who decide that.
Right.
And the eligibility determination process, the front door intake form, which is a transmittal form. You would need a psychological with a full IQ, and this has to be within 3 years. So it can't be any older than 3 years old. OPWDD will pick it back.
And I want to point out to the teachers again, I'm sorry, from a teacher's perspective, now I want to point out that if a child already has an IEP, the district is supposed to be doing these evaluations no matter what every 3 years. So if a child does have an IEP, most likely they already have this information, so they don't have to stress thinking, oh my gosh, this is something else I have to get. You probably already have this information.
Yep.
Adaptive assessment, a Vineland, or ABAS, Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scale, Adaptive Behavior Assessment. If there is a specific diagnosis of autism, you need a specialty report with an ADOS, Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. So if a child has autism, they definitely want an ADOS associated with that, because it's pretty much a narrative of the symptoms and how they affect their adaptive behavior. And a latest IEP, which is typically a child will have an IEP every year. And a social history or a psychological within psychosocial within 1 year.
School should have that too.
And a physical, that's stated within 1 year. So when you want to apply for eligibility, you need all these things. And it just would be sent in a packet to OPWDD. And these are just a list of other services. So you might say, well, my child doesn't have any of those diagnoses. My child just has ADHD and I need some help, right? So these are just other services that might be available. Access VR. You know, that's another resource to parents, which is free, no cost. They also provide job placement. They provide supportive employment. Well, that's what we had OPWED, but vocational education, driver's ed, big thing, right? So your child can have a learning disability, not qualify for OPWED, but you know they may be really difficult for you to teach how to drive, and you may not be able to afford it per se, right? You can go through Access VR. New York State Commission for the Blind. This is a big one. A lot of people think because my child is blind that they're automatically going to qualify for OPW. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, it's not the case. They can be blind and have another coexisting disorder like cerebral palsy or something like that. They then would qualify for OPW. But if not, there's New York State Commission for the Blind, which is another service that's available to parents. And OMH. If they don't qualify for OPWDD or New York State Commission for the Blind, you can look at OMH.
Office for Mental Health.
Office for Mental Health, which is at no cost to the parents as well. And Independent Living Community is also no cost to the parents as well, which is another agency that does help. So these are other agencies that are available to parents, not just OPWDD.
Could I just jump back to the process? She just loves putting me on camera. So basically, once all the information has been provided, just to jump back to OPW, you should receive a phone call from OPWDD. It may take them a few days or a couple of weeks, but when they call you back and they have that info, they're going to do an interview, usually over the phone. And then you'll get a determination, you'll get a letter, which is an NOD or a notice of decision telling you, yes, they're approved or no, they're not. If they are approved, great, you can start reaching out. They'll tell you the various services. If not, you can ask for a fair hearing and bring it up as to why you think they would be eligible. Okay.
Thank you. Arlene, you're so right. I had to wait like 2-3 days before I got a phone call back, but I did get a phone call back. So this process, I'm in the middle of it right now, but this process seems to be one of patience, but that will pay off in the long term because we know that this will continue on for a long period of time.
And again, as they get older, they're going to need more and more services that are eligible through OPWDD. So it is best to get in on the bottom floor and then they can grow with the services that become available as they age.
Sure. And I'd like to point out again, going back from perspective of an educator, how when we have parent meetings or we have open house and we're making brochures for our parents of the resources that we have in the community, this is one of the resources we should be implementing, even if you're not a special education teacher. This is something that all parents should be aware of, you know, no matter what, because it could be that they have a relative, it could be that maybe their child does have has a disability, developmental disability, and maybe there's a stigma and they're scared to bring things up, but we have to advocate for them.
Did you bring up the last slide? Yeah. I just want, the very last slide here is all of our information. if someone, needs assistance with actually applying through the system, Nancy, you might be able to help out with that process, and her phone number is on there. So I know that Nancy is a tremendous help. She's got a lot of background, a lot of experience, and yeah. So
Nancy, I didn't realize that was you back there. Hi, so nice to meet you. She's hiding, but she's the one that's helping me.
Oh, we're being told it's the wrong phone number. Nancy, what's the right phone number?
The correct phone number is 631-828-0474.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I am so
Lizette, just a quick question for you. Are you at the high school?
No, I'm at East Middle School.
Okay.
I went there.
Yay! Yes, yes. I am now the RTI intervention coach. I've been 6th grade bilingual educator there for 7 years, and now I'm the RTI intervention coach. So I'm gonna have my hands full because that's for all the babies who, that need special interventions, and then and it might lead the way to having an IEP or not, but that's my role there. So I'm very excited. And so I want to thank all of you, and I'm going to now take over the screen, and I welcome all of you to stay for our next presenter, or if you have to go, I completely understand.
Can I just
Yes,
tell you
go on,
something?
honey.
So the reason why I asked you was because at the high school level, the Partners for Transitioning program, we provide vocational assessment for kids who have a learning or developmental disability. So that's something that, that's a program that we do. Danielle and myself work together. So the referral source doesn't have to be the school itself, but it could be anyone. So a sibling of one of your students, anyone. So the assessment can be done at our office or at the high school, but we work with the transition coordinator. So that could be a good resource for high school teachers, to have, because the program we provide, we do the vocational assessment for kids who are 2 years prior to them graduating high school. So not necessarily mean 2 years, 10th grade, 11th grade. No, it could mean, 19, 20, if they stay in
Sure.
they're supposed to graduate at 21. So that's also a program that we provide. And service coordination, we also do that as well. So that could also be helpful to parents who are not aware, that there's another service out there for kids who have a disability.
Thank you. And you know what's going through my mind right now? I think when the school year starts, and considering I do a lot of parent involvement for the district, and this might be an idea for all our other educators here that are here with us there, be listening in the future. I would love to collaborate and probably do this presentation again, all in Spanish.
Arlene, you're doing
it. Translating all of this, or whatever language is predominant. I know in my district it's Spanish. It might be a different language. See, I see everyone giving thumbs up here because we have different languages. But that might be something we could even help with, if you guys don't have the time, but with translating of the information and maybe doing this presentation in the future. So we'll touch base on that again.
Yeah, it's just a matter of coordinating, coordinating with you a day and time and all that, and we can come up with something.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much.
Send you the brochure, so you have it.
Okay, sounds great. So thank you so much. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Rayanne Havasi. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, correct, Dr. Rayanne. She's the Executive Director of the Center of Science for Teaching and Learning. She's on here. Dr. Rayanne, you're here? Maybe she paused us for a little bit. I see you're here.
Excuse me, Lisa, we're gonna leave the meeting now.
Sure, honey, I totally understand.
If anyone has any further questions, our information is on there.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. So let me see if Dr. Rayanne is available. Maybe she got busy with something because she heard the other presentation happening. Maybe I should give her a buzz. Let me, we'll pause for one moment. I'm just gonna put myself on mute and see if I can give her a buzz. So I'm trying to unmute her.
Okay, I am here. Can you hear me?
Hey, we hear you. Hi, Dr. Reed.
Hi. How are you? How's everyone?
Great. Hello. Everyone's on here. They're on mute, but everyone's on here. They're ready to hear all the great things you have to share.
So we realized, hi everyone, we realized that for some children, having large visuals and having tactile experiences is very helpful to their learning. And as our staff gets trained in kids with special needs, we are really proud to present a dinosaur exhibit that has life-size robotic dinosaurs and lots of live animals. So what we've done when parents come and say, gee, our child would love to touch this animal, is we will take some of them out. On the other hand, some of our kids, particularly if they're autistic, sometimes have trouble with the loud noises of the dinosaurs. So we will mute that for you, for your child. So it's a fabulous experience. There are nature trails throughout. So we are finding with more and more children with special needs coming to visit us, we are actually getting trained so that we can even be better at providing a service to both parents and school teachers who want to bring groups or their own children to the museum. It is small. Yeah.
Dr.
It is all enclosed so that children, good.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to emphasize the fact that most definitely we talked about children with disabilities and how children who are learning a second language can fall under that umbrella as well. We also want to make sure that we focus on, and if you could mention to us some of the great things you do for children who are learning English as a second language, because we are the Association for Teachers of Multilingual Learners. So if you could also mention some things as you explain some of your exhibits, how is it, and I think you are mentioning some things already about being, hands-on and things like that and project-based for English language learners, some of the visuals you have and activities that you do.
Okay, good. So I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish and English. So when we have a Spanish group, I'm called into action to speak with our children that may be Spanish. We also have somebody here who speaks Arabic. And so we have a wide variety. And right now, we're working on a grant to get the signage done in 5 languages. We went and ascertained what are the 5 most common languages on Long Island other than English. So now we're waiting. We hope the New York State Museum Association will give us a grant. Right now, the signage, unfortunately, is only in English. So, but enough of us speak. There are 2 of us that speak Spanish. So we are making great inroads to understand and provide services for our children with disabilities. In the science setting, we're a science center. So when we do labs, for example, we've changed all of our lab equipment so that it fits the needs of kids with visual and learning disabilities. So we are moving as quickly as possible, given that we're a nonprofit and like everyone else, we have to raise the money, but we're moving as quickly as we can. And when people visit us, we are very anxious to find out what can we do better. But it is a wonderful experience. Like I said, it's roaring dinosaurs, life-size dinosaurs, lots of live animals. The children get to feed the goats. And So we would, and we've had this summer, a lot of programs for kids with disabilities have come as a field trip. And it's really helped us to get better at what we do and making sure that we provide the very best for kids.
Sure.
We're located in Rockville Center.
Yes, and I have to add to that perhaps there are children who have disabilities and are bilingual, and perhaps there are children who are just bilingual, do not have a learning disability, but because they are bilingual or on the or learning a second language. If you're learning a second language, what I fell in love with your museum is that there is someone, everywhere you go, there's someone that works there that will orally explain, and there are visuals all around the children as they're touching and feeling objects. So there's so much going on at once, so they can acquire the language, the English language. They're seeing it written, they're doing the activity or touching an animal or touching something, right? And then they have someone that's working there. I'm sorry, what would you call the person that works in the museum? I know there's a
docent. Docent.
Yes, a docent who is explaining the activity or explaining the concept to the child. And so when I think of an English language learner, multi-language learner, they have all these comprehensible input coming to them at the same time. And this is where language acquisition comes into, where I think that you are great for language acquisition, because it's all multisensory, and that is wonderful for a child who's learning a second language. Like you said, there are so many visuals, and it's also very calming. Like you said, that there walks around the pond and nature, you have a trail there, and where children can see, feel, and touch and hear. So
and I think one of the most important things is we are a place that really caters to kids 8 and younger, although lots of other kids come older. But what I mean cater is the outside area that has exhibits is completely fenced in. So we wanted parents to have the comfort in knowing that if their child wanders, they can't wander off the property. They can't even wander anywhere else on the property except for in the exhibit area. So I welcome all of you. Our website is cstl.org, and we're open every day except for Wednesday. If you'd like to schedule a group, just give us a call. And I wish I could stay longer, but I have to get back to another meeting. But it's nice to see all your faces, and I hope I see you here at the museum.
Well, Dr. Ann, I want to thank you for your time. You're lovely and wonderful, and it was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for all the attention. You even gave my children when I was there. I'm sure whoever attends will have that fortune of seeing.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Dr. Ray Ann. She was phenomenal. I don't think she even got to explain that whenever the school district has off, they have a whole camp day that's very affordable to families. And the kids do all of these hands-on activities that, again, when we talk about language acquisition, it's crucial to have those hands-on activities, the movement while you're learning the language, as opposed to just, a worksheet or, sitting down listening to someone. It can't just be always oral, as we know, because we know that that's not how the best way for children to learn. So best learning practices obviously are when you are getting all this comprehensible input. This is a little hidden gem in Rockville Center that I just came upon when I was exploring with my boys. And so they fell in love with it. I don't know if she even mentioned they have live animals there. My boy got to hold a snake, have it on him, and he was asking all sorts of questions about the snake, and she was explaining to him. And they also had rabbits and goats, and you can feed the animals, and then everything was labeled around the museum. Everything was labeled, and I thought that this was just phenomenal for our multi-language learners. Before we all go, because I think we're doing good on time, but before we all go, I have been building on this resource for all our Long Island teachers about our Long Island gems. So this this is my little Bitmoji classroom here. If you haven't, because I see my Cuban flag here, if you haven't registered already for my presentation on September 15th, please make sure you join us September 15th, learning more about Cuba, beyond the beaches, beyond the palm trees, what is really happening in Cuba right now. Thank you so much, Tanya. Yes. What is really happening in Cuba? What are Cubans asking for right now? This is not going to be a political conversation. This is going to be about being a culturally responsive educator as to how you can learn more about our culture, learn more about our history, so that you can represent or explain things to your students in more of an accurate way by hearing from primary sources. I'm going to have many affluent Cuban people come and explain their personal story from different generations, because the Cubans have been under a regime for 62 years. So I know that we don't have a large Cuban population in New York, but we do have Cubans here in New York. And I think it's important for us to share that story. And it really is a story about freedom and the importance of our freedom and the people that make sacrifice, like we've lost our soldiers recently. But going back to this little Padlet I've been working on for all our Long Island teachers. These are the museums that we have in Long Island that are just gems and organizations. I have to add a section here for organizations. I'm sorry, I should be adding the Developmental Disabilities offices here. But we've had Brookhaven already present to us about all the great resources they have for English language learners. The Nassau Museum of Art was phenomenal. They'll present to you in your classroom virtually, or come to you, or have you come to them. And they were like amazing when it came to language acquisition and helping our English language learners and bringing art and the love of art to our students. Because as we know, not everyone is good at science. Not everyone is good at history. Not everyone is good at math, but maybe their passion is art, and we don't, fulfill that as much sometimes in the schools. But there's an art program for them that the school can adopt, and it's phenomenal how they focus on academic discussions using art. And that is huge when it comes to listening and speaking, and giving our children the opportunity to do that in the classroom. So I can't speak highly enough about Miss Linda, who works at the Nassau Museum of Art. But this Padlet is available to everyone. I can put it on the chat, and it's available to everyone to add on to, or to send me information to add on to it, or to just use as a resource, or spread it, to send it along the way to other people. And we've been working on this slowly but surely, but the African American Museum of Nassau is also here, and they do programs for English language learners, or they know how to emphasize and help with language acquisition. And so same thing with Smithtown Historical Society, the Holocaust Memorial Museum. So these are all very hands-on museums, and that know that and well aware that they can tailor to our children who are learning another language. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're all very busy, and that is all for our presentation. Please feel free to follow the New York State TESOL Association. Please come to the conference. We'll be so excited to have you there. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram, educating_with love. And my Twitter is LizetteRoman13. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And if you need anything, I am the co-chair here on Long Island. Any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week. Do you want to say anything? Does anybody ask anybody questions?
No, I just want to say thank you. You did such a beautiful job. Yes, this is amazing, informative resources you are sharing with us. I'm sorry that we didn't do a good job in put out the news earlier, we will continue to improve, on our, the schedule webinar going out. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we're all a team and we're trying our best. And I know this is a hectic time for educators. And the good thing is we've recorded this, so we'll be able to
Yes.
post it up and teachers can refer to it as long as we just keep promoting everything. So thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.